Hey everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. I'm actually talking from the future. In today's video, I'm going to read and discuss the 3 adult FF romances that I've been really looking forward to, that I have been eyeing. This video was just a good opportunity for me to de-stress and check out some romances. The books that you're going to see me read in this video are Devon and Kris Plan a Wedding by Chencia Higgins, which is a romantic comedy about a reality TV show. The 2 heroines have to pretend to be affianced and they have to fool their families for a cash prize. The second book is Requiem for Immortals by Winter Lee, and it's about an assassin that works for one of the Australian gangs that falls for her target. And the third book is 4 Steps. It's a story about 2 girls that bond on a hiking trip and the dark past of one of them that comes back to haunt her. I hope you'll enjoy this video and find some new books for your TBR list. This is probably the one and only time when I'm going to look decent in this video, so enjoy. I had some chores today. I reorganized my makeup drawer, my clothing. My makeup drawer is top-notch now. It's just beautiful. It makes my soul really happy. I don't have a really big makeup collection, though it's getting bigger and bigger because for some reason I'm really into makeup right now. I think it correlates with the people that I watch on YouTube because I started watching a lot of makeup people on YouTube. I also reorganized my closet and found some clothing that I no longer use, so I decided to donate it. I had to find a place in my area that takes in good but used clothing. Turns out that I actually have one across the road and I had no idea. I also went to a waxing session today, met my mom, we went to a restaurant. It was a day, and I've been listening to an audiobook throughout the day because why waste time? It was Devon and Kris Plan a Wedding. I started reading the book as an ebook and it felt very dry. I will be completely honest with you, I was very bored, but it is much livelier as an audiobook, so I would recommend to pick up the audiobook. It is on Scribd if you're using Scribd. Thing is, I've been enjoying it up until a certain moment. I've been annoyed at Devon at times because she's written as a cartoon character or a 13-year-old. She constantly covers her face when she's ashamed, and it sounds so fucking dumb when the character is a 30-year-old woman. It's a minor pet peeve though. I usually don't take any stars away when I'm mildly annoyed at something in the book, but then it got worse. Basically, the premise of this book is that these 2 characters have to pretend that they've been dating for a while and that they are getting married, despite their families never being introduced to their partners. And it honestly is not a bad idea, except Devon is not out. So she decided to come out by doing the show. I never understood these kinds of people because coming out already is a stressful ordeal, but you're making it extra spicy by adding a film crew to this. I honestly don't understand this choice, but I know that people have done this in real life, so I believe that there are people out there that would do this. When Devon and Kris are paired together to pretend to be a couple, Kris constantly has this monologue in her head about how she's concerned that Devon is not out, and honestly, it's not your fucking business. I never understood when partners, specifically in American movies, insist their lovers need to come out. It's just not a thing that should concern you. The only thing that coming out to a really homophobic family is going to do is ruin a relationship, and that's for the person to decide if they want to ruin it completely or they want to maintain the status quo. I could have swallowed it, but then the story became even clownier. Both of the heroines have to introduce their partner, their fake partner, to their families, because that's the part of the show. And since Devon is not out, she has to subsequently come out. And the genius thing that they decide on with Kris is to go to Devon's mother church on a Sunday and do it at a church, because that's just brilliant, obviously. Who in their right mind would do that? It's just stupid. First of all, you just can't predict your parents' reaction. Second of all, if you want a person to respect you, you should respect them back. Not allowing a person time, grace, opportunity to ask questions is not doing yourself any favors in the first place. Just to go to the church, Devon comes to greet her mom, holding Kris's hand, and her mom doesn't even say anything. She is clearly shocked because her daughter is 30 years old, and that's the first time that she sees that her daughter is gay. They don't exchange many words. Her mom goes about her business, but she's clearly, thinking. She's also at church. And Devon immediately is in hysterics that she's not immediately embraced, and that her mother apparently is a homophobe. And Kris as well has this same monologue in her head. And I literally couldn't listen to that because her mom didn't even do anything yet, but they already made assumptions about her and how she's homophobic. And then this whole ordeal continued. They started talking about Devon's sexuality in more detail, and it turned out her mother suspected that Devon might be queer but never said anything. And Devon got pissed off that her mom never addressed it. And because of that, she's a big homophobe and just a bad person in general. When I tell you I wanted to beat them up, they cornered this poor woman and decided that she's guilty without the judge and the juries. It was clownery, absolute clownery. I didn't even know how to talk about that because it felt like they were gaslighting her and me at the same time. I think Chencia Higgins decided that she wanted to breach this topic, that she wanted to make Devon's mother homophobic, but she didn't put it in text well or enough or explicitly. So it didn't feel to me as a reader that she's homophobic. So this whole time when I was reading their accusations and didn't see the reason for them in text, it felt absolutely wild for me. And now I honestly cannot take them seriously. Your sexuality is for you to figure out, and if you want to tell people, you should. But expecting them to figure it out for you and talk to you about it is a bit wild. People are not mind readers and they don't know if you're ready to talk about it yet or not. Otherwise, Devon and Kris seem to be really cute. It's just I can't get over this. The second book that I'm reading is much better. It is a 5-star contender and I love it. It's incredible. I picked up the Requiem for Immortals, and the first time I've heard about it was from a comment on my channel. I've read a book by Lee Winter before and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. This one is chef's kiss. If you like mafia romances, serial killer romances, hired gun romances, this is gonna be for you. It's a little bit dark, not very much, but it's enough to make the story a bit more interesting. It follows a woman named Natalia, and she is an assassin. Her code name is Requiem. Most of her time is dedicated to work, and she also has a passion for classical music. She is a pretty famous cellist. One day she gets a very odd order to kill a woman that doesn't seem to be connected to any of the gangs, to any financial crimes. She's just a very odd target. She works an office job and she's pretty mousy in her spare time. She looks after her ill mother, but she also coaches a girls' team. Natalia is very confused by the order, so she decides to meet the woman and see maybe she is more than she seems. And it turns out that she's just a regular woman that Natalia somehow is very into. They both share the love for classical music, and the conversation flows easily between them, so Natalia doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to kill her target anymore. What I really liked about Lee Winter when I was reading The Brutal Truth is the writing style. It just flows so nicely. And with this book, the plot also is extremely interesting. And I'm into the dynamic that these two women have. I'm into Natalia's job and I want to know more about it. I don't know if the series has a continuation with a different couple, but I would absolutely gobble it up if there is a second book in the series. It's just really fun. All I want is to read this book. I'm obsessed with this too and I want to know more. I will actually maybe finish this book today. I want to make myself a cup of coffee. It's currently 10 p.m. I can't have a cup of coffee now. I have a 9 a.m. call tomorrow, so I just really can't survive on 4 hours of sleep today. I will make myself a cup of tea with milk because that's my other drink of choice at this point in the year, and I will read more of it. I just want to know what's going to happen next. And there is another character that I want to be the lead for the second book if it exists, or if it will exist. Natalia has a rival assassin that she's been growing up with and that has been in love with her. She's a bit younger and I want to know her story. Somehow this week is the busiest week I've had in a month, or so it feels. I leave my house almost every single day and it's very unusual. I went to pick up my sister-in-law's present for her birthday, and of course I bought some makeup because I just can't resist it. I was very practical though, and I didn't spend that much money, but it's a concerning trend. Let's just say that. It's always difficult for me to spend too much money on myself or buy like a very expensive item. Because I bought her a Prior box and I bought myself a micellar water and some hand cream and a couple of primers and some powder. I swatched a very beautiful cream shadow though. It's Charlotte Tilbury wise in terms of texture, but they do have so many shades and I was like, should I get it? Should I get it? I really want it. I do want it, but do I need it? That's the other question. So I decided if after my vacation, which is in November, I'm going to still want it, I'm going to buy it. Also, I just washed the set and I think I got my sleeve into one of the swatches. I don't know if you can see that, but it's yellow. I've been reading these two books that I've talked about, and I gotta say that they continue to beat my expectations. I'm actually in my bathroom to wash up and to take my makeup off. I don't know why I'm just conversing with you because I'm wasting time. I'm reading this too still, and Devon and Kris continues to disappoint me, but Requiem for Immortals continues to surprise me. I don't even know. At this point, I'm like, do I give Devon and Kris 2 stars? Because Devon now, she was already busted on not having any logic, but now she made up that Kris would have fallen for any girl that would have been matched with her on the show, not just her. And I'm like, girl, you literally have to go to a therapist. You have some issues clearly that I can't really psychoanalyze because I'm not a professional, but I'm seeing some kind of issue there. So Devon truly is not it. It makes me really angry that she's so irrational. So I don't really know if I'm going to enjoy the book because of that. Plus, I think it was supposed to be funnier, or rather the author thought she's writing a funny novel, and it's not funny at all. Requiem for Immortals, though, makes me incredibly happy. This goddamn plot twist. I didn't expect it. It was just so good, and I can't even tell you what it is because it will ruin a book. I thought we're getting to the end, but it's not the end. It's just getting started, and I am fully obsessed with it because this decision was the best possible decision. It just switched the whole dynamic up. It's different now. It just doubled up my enjoyment. I think it's so genius. I also think that the tension is so well done because the characters have not even kissed yet. And I cannot wait for them to kiss. I'm testing out this, by the way, and it dries me out. I was using Cetaphil, I think, prior to this, or there's another one that sounds similar. I loved a mask with Centella recently by Now the Burnt, and I thought, yeah, I need a face wash with Centella. I don't think it's the Centella's fault. This face wash doesn't agree with me, I think. Anyway, I'm going to make myself a cup of warm drink and I'm going to read more of Requiem for Immortals. I recently saw a fascinating video of a person making hot chocolate by throwing a chocolate bowl into a glass of hot milk. And then I googled it. It turns out that this product is actually a thing, so I decided to try them out as well because it looked delicious in the video and also the whole process just looked fun. So that's what we're doing right now. I had not properly heat up the milk, so I had to stir the drink a little bit, but it was very delicious and I enjoyed it. It's much more expensive than buying hot chocolate powder or just putting a piece of chocolate into milk, but I think it would make a cute Christmas present for a neighbor or, a person that you don't want to give something really expensive. I'm just going to drink this hot chocolate and read a little bit without audience, but the next clip is gonna be an update. It's 4 p.m. I just went out to print some papers for my vacation that my HR requested, and what I saw has to be illegal. It's so dark outside. It's 4 p.m. That's why I hate fall and winter. It's literally the two worst seasons. I never see the light, and honestly, I feel like I'm not even living. That's how the bears feel, I feel like, during winter. They just want to sleep. That's me. Anyway, I still bought myself some pastry because, well, if pastry is not going to cheer me up, then what will? This look like the most appetizing caramelized pastries. I love these. I have a few hours of work left. It's Friday and I just have to pull through. There are a few tasks that I just don't like, but postponing them is not a good idea. So we just gotta do it. We're not here for that though. Let me talk a little bit about the book. I have only a few chapters left in Requiem for Immortals, and now I get why it's titled Requiem for Immortals. It's genius. I love it when they explain it in the book or mention it. And also chapter 15 to 17, absolute masterpiece. Also, I read from chapter 15 to 17 yesterday at night in my bed, and I just wanted to scream really loudly because it was the scene. It was absolutely incredible, perfect. It's like the two most iconic Killing Eve scenes combined, when Will and Al came to Eve's house. And also I feel like there's going to be a sequel, or there is a sequel, because we're getting down the wire and not everything is solved. So I think there might be a sequel, and I'm actually really excited. I don't really like romances about the same couple that take books because it's a bit boring for me, but I cannot wait for the sequel. I might even read it in this video. I also found two other books that I'm interested in. One I think has to do with a serial killer. It's also an FF romance. Neither of them is a serial killer, but I think they are looking for that person, and the romance is blooming on the background, and it's set in Scotland. And the second book is an absolute random recommendation that Scribd decided to grant me with, It's a mafia romance. It also is pretty short. It's under 200 pages. It's actually almost 2 a.m. in the morning, and I prefer to think that it's still 1 a.m. because I really don't want to go to sleep and go to work tomorrow. Well, open my computer and just work. So I've been just vegging out. I've been listening to a new audiobook, yes, because I finished 2 books, and I've been just playing with an eyeshadow palette. I still don't understand how to do smoky or colorful eyeshadow. I just look dumb every single time, especially with colorful eyeshadow. I just don't understand it. I tried to fix it to be a little bit more presentable, but I don't think it looks great. The main thing that I was trying to make myself do is film the BookTube Newbie 101 video, the first video in the series. I already talked about this series in my community tag. I even made a poll, and I see that there is some interest in the series. I just have a lot of things to say about YouTube and how I think a newbie should approach it. But I also have some advice for people that have been on the platform for a bit and their channels are a bit older, they don't get many views, and they don't know how to, get picked up by the algorithm. There are certain things that I figured out by doing this for a lot of years, even though I'm not like a big booktuber. But I just can't make myself sit down and do it because it feels like such a monumental thing, and I don't want to miss a thing because I do have a lot to say. So you will probably get those videos in parts. There will be multiple parts. But since I couldn't convince myself that I need to do it, I decided, why not film an update? I think I want to end on a high note, so I'm going to talk about the one that disappointed me. Devon and Kris plan a wedding. You already know that it's gonna be that book. I think it was a wasted potential because it had all the elements and it could have been good. Every single time Chencia's Higgins introduced a new conflict into the story, it was brushed under the carpet and there wasn't enough drama to keep it interesting. Devon was a delusional mess, and I really don't like her. She really got on my nerves, and since I decided that she pisses me off, it was really hard to convince me to love this book. It was like swimming upstream. I think that the romance is cutesy and it's pretty fluffy. It doesn't have enough drama and conflict, and I usually don't like those kinds of books because they seem kind of pointless for me. Because if there is no actual obstacle, be it an inner obstacle or an outer obstacle, why should I even root for this couple? There should be tension in a book for a person to be motivated to read it till the end. So at the end of the day, I'm disappointed. I give it 2 stars. Some of you might actually enjoy it because I found that a lot of people that are my friends on Goodreads liked it. I didn't. The book that I loved and that I finished today actually, The Requiem for Immortals by Winter Lee. I obviously gave this 5 stars. It's now in my tops of FF romances. In my top 5 probably. It's just brilliant. Every single thing in it is my cup of tea. The more I got into the book, the more it sounded like the perfect amalgamation between Killing Eve and Hannibal, and you know how much I love that. When I say I'm obsessed, don't take it lightly. I'm literally obsessed. This is a very slow burn book too, and it's very frustrating because throughout the book they sort of kiss once. It's not a proper kiss. Then there is a foreplay scene, which was incredible. I could have lived off that for a few weeks. The sexual tension in this book is top-notch. It's electric. Throughout the whole thing, I constantly felt like something is going to happen between the heroines, and then nothing happened, and the tension remained strong. I love that. I genuinely did. There's actually a sex scene in one of the first chapters, but it's not between the heroines, so it's clearly not a statement against sex. It was just not appropriate plot-wise. And I think the author had done such a good job developing a relationship. This gotta be one of my favorites in a romance ever. Because For me, in the romance, the sex is not as important. What I want is a deep emotional connection. I want to feel like these characters are soulmates on some level. I want to feel like they share something that they don't share with other people. And that is what this book gives. With all that in mind, I was reading the last chapters, fully anticipating for the order to edge me until the second book, because I looked it up and there is a sequel. We're going to talk about the sequel later. I didn't even expect a happy ending because I knew that there is a sequel, and I was very surprised because there is a sex scene, and that sex scene was worth waiting for. I read it twice. It wasn't even a long sex scene, but it was the hottest I read because it felt authentic. I'm pretty impressed. And also there was a happy ending, which felt a bit like a cold shower because I was kind of preparing myself for the sequel and was pretty excited for it because I thought another 400 pages of that? Yes, please. But no. They got together, and it was actually extremely emotional. As you can tell, I'm in love with this book because it does every single thing that I want, and it does it well. I was pretty tempted to pick up the sequel, so I looked it up again. It is sort of a sequel, but it's 60 pages long. It's like an extra short story, which I'm going to read. I never do this, but I'm so obsessed with this too, I'm going to read it. I always say that a good love story has to leave you wanting, and if you're actually willing to go on AO3 to look up fanfiction about the couple, it worked the way it should work, and that is the stage that I am in right now. If you wanted to read an FF mafia romance with an assassin protagonist that falls in love begrudgingly with her target, what are you waiting for? Pick it up. I picked up another audiobook because I finished reading Kris and Devon, and I thought I'm gonna go for another darker romance because they seem to be working for me. Thing is, it's not as dark as I want it to be. It's The 4 Steps by Wendy Hudson. It's about a woman named Lori that comes to Scotland to hike a mountain. And she accidentally meets a woman named Alex, who also hikes this route. They decide to stick together and sleep in the same tiny house that is public property somehow. I don't really understand hiking and how it works, but they have these tiny houses. They start talking about their lives, and it turns out they both just broke up with their partners. Lori broke up with her boyfriend, and she thinks she's straight, and Alex broke up with her girlfriend. They have a similar experience, so they boned. And Lori realizes that she finds Alex very attractive, which is not an experience she ever had in the past. So far it's pretty tame, but sometimes we get tiny chapters from the point of view of an old man whose son is a violent criminal. And I don't really understand how it ties together yet, but I suspect that these two storylines are going to intertwine. Also, there are some hints that something dark happened in both of their lives when they were children. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. My problem is Requiem for Immortals was so good that I kind of have a book hangover, and it's hard to impress me now. Okay, so I finally finished reading the last book of this reading vlog, The 4 Steps by Wendy Hudson. And I gotta say that it's really boring. That's one of the worst crimes a book can commit. And it also just doesn't live up to its synopsis. The synopsis makes it seem like it's a high-stakes thriller that the heroines are going to investigate the case that is very important to one of them, which is true. They're not the ones that are investigating it, though. The police is investigating it. They're just participating, I guess, but not really. I just want to say that I wanted them to be much more involved in it. And the story actually became a little bit more interesting only after the half point. I just think that it doesn't live up to the expectations that I've had for it, and I'm a little bit disappointed. I guess I'm going to give it 3 stars because I enjoyed it more than I disliked it. And I think that despite the lackluster thriller subplot, the relationship is pretty cute, and I wasn't annoyed by the characters, which is an upgrade from Kris and Devon Plan a Wedding. So I gotta give it that. Then also, I don't think it should be marketed like this just because there is a serial killer on the loose and one of the heroines is involved. I don't think it warrants a dark romance claim. It was just not what I expected, and it definitely affected how I feel about the book. One of the other things that I disliked, and that I usually dislike in FF romances specifically, not in other types of romances. I don't know why, I think I relate too much because it's in a way also my experience, is how focused it was on constantly mentioning Lori's sexuality. It's definitely her journey. She's discovering things about herself that she never knew about herself before. The dynamic was just so childish and annoying because all Alex's friends that they hang out with read like 20-year-olds that constantly teased Lori about it. I would have tolerated it in a new adult romance, but I just can't deal with it in an adult romance because at this point you should just know better. So that part was kind of annoying to me. In general, the played up stereotype of queer women falling for straight women is not for me. I hate that shit. There's nothing more appealing to me than someone who cannot respond to my feelings. Some people don't grow out of it, but I am not interested in reading about them. So that part I was not particularly just about either. This is gonna be the end of the vlog. You know which book I love the most. I was not shy about my feelings. I feel like this whole video was just praise for Requiem for Immortals. If you know any books that are similar to it, leave them in the comments down below because I absolutely do need them urgently. And if you've been following me for a bit, you probably noticed that sometimes at the end of the videos I recommend you a piece of media that I enjoyed recently. Sometimes I skip it because I forget or I just don't have anything to offer, but today I do have a fun recommendation. It's a web series that you can literally just watch for free on YouTube, and it's called Stupid Wife. If you ever dreamed of your favorite cheesiest fanfic becoming a TV show or a movie, you gotta check it out. This is an adaptation of a very popular Cambrian fanfiction, and it follows a woman that goes to sleep and wakes up 10 years later in the bed of a woman that she hated when she was in university. It turns out that it's her wife, they have a child, and they've been together for a very long time. She doesn't remember the last 10 years of her life, so she either time traveled or she suffers from amnesia. This is just a really fun web series. It has some issues with pacing, but it's a web series. You gotta give it a chance. It's very watchable, the actresses are so hot, and the first season is uploaded to YouTube, so you can just binge it. I personally had a lot of fun with it, so I'm going to leave the link to it in the description box down below. On this note, thank you for watching my videos. I'll see you soon with another one, but until then,